All right. So the first big deception that the institutions have pretty much instilled in the culture and in religion, especially, the first big deception that we talked about is that you're the only one, that your group, your religion is the only one. That's the first big deception. The second big deception, an even bigger deception, and it's pushed on a daily basis. Every movie, everything that's in the culture is that you can fight evil with evil. And that's the second big deception. The truth is you can't fight evil with evil, and everyone knows this. That's spirituality 101. Come on, man. Spirituality 101. You can't fight evil with evil. Everyone subconsciously knows this. Everyone deep down in their heart knows you can't fight evil with evil, but somehow it's justified in the culture and in every Hollywood movie, and then it's just part of your everyday living. But we can't live in ignorance forever. And so the base of that is what is love? Like, how can we define love? And love, unconditional love, is something that you can't really define. It's all encompassing. I mean, if it's the source of everything that exists, there's so many dimensions to it, right? But there's two things that you can really define it with. One is it's not self-centered, that it's always seeking the unity and the connection. It's always not just self-centered on the self, because we're part of the whole. And so it needs the whole. It's always gravitating towards the whole, towards the unity. That's the first thing you can define love as. And the second thing is the means by which things are accomplished, and the use of force is what evil is, and not using force, and peace, tranquility, kindness, all these good virtues, the internal peace is what you can define love as. The other extreme, the other extreme of that is obviously the extreme use of violence. And so it's very clear that the use of violence is evil. And however you want to justify the use of violence, you can try and justify it in your brain, but at the end of the day, you can't fight evil with evil. So if you're trying to fight evil and defeat evil and bring about a kingdom of God on earth, if you're trying to do that, violence has to be something that it's like jumping off a cliff, right? Once you jump off that cliff and commit to nonviolence, and there is a peace. There's a peace that you find. There's the fear is gone. The fear of having to use violence, since you know you're not going to use it and you've committed to nonviolence. There's no fear of having to fight evil with evil. And then there's a lot of, we'll get into all the, well, what do you do if someone comes into your house and rapes your wife? That's the first thing everyone says, and we'll get into all that and justice and how everything works. But the first step to understand, and everyone knows this, everyone knows that violence is evil. It's not something that people don't know, but somehow they justify it, and somehow every religion on earth that's institutionalized, it's big. I mean, some of the small ones don't, but the big mass religions all justify the use of violence. And somehow you can go to church and give your soul to Jesus and do all these things, and there's crying going on, and there's great feelings, and there's emotional things going on, and there's beautiful things going on, man. There's healings going on. there's beauty in the air, but somehow you leave that world and you can justify going into the world of violence and say, oh, I'm gonna, pledge my allegiance to the flag, or I'm going to support this government, or support this military, or support this war, or support this politician, or to me, it's a complete contradiction, and we have to move into what is true, and ignorance is not going to save us. And so that's pretty much it. You can't fight evil with evil. That's the second big deception, that you've been deceived. Everything that it's so hard to get away from this, because everything you've been taught, and not only you've been taught since you were a baby, but it's a constant barrage of just every day, everything you see that comes from the institution, every movie you see, every program, you watch any type of any information that you receive. This is the biggest, because because evil knows that the only thing that can defeat evil is love. Evil knows that. And so evil does not want to be defeated. Evil is evil, and evil wants more and more and more and more of it. Even though evil's ignorant, right? Evil is ignorant, because that's not what it really wants. But that's the big step. That's the big step, the big deception. That is the biggest deception of all. And once you jump off that cliff and just surrender and say, you can't serve two masters, right? Once you surrender to God, jump off that cliff and just give your life to that purity and commit to nonviolence. You can see things a lot clearly. You can see things a lot clearly, or you can just see things become a lot clearer to you. And you say to yourself, how could I have thought that way? Like, you just can't believe how you used to think, your old person, because you can see it now. And so I invite you all to jump off the cliff and surrender to God and commit to nonviolence. And we'll get in, and there's a lot of questions that we all have about, how can I justify that and not protect those who love me? And that's the next subject we'll get into. But believe me, it's beautiful. It's more beautiful than you think.